Okay, guys, I have the privilege of being here with my buddy Steve Wilmot, who's the director of the RBC Heritage Golf Tournament, pressing towards 40 years?
I don't talk years anymore.
Come on.
Over 30 pounds, but that's another story. But it's 30. This will be my 39th.
39th year, which that's the longest running, right? It's got to be in the PGA.
I am considered, I got to be careful using this term, kind of the elder statesman.
Come on, right.
I came down here the summer of '86 with Seapines when they were actually in bankruptcy. And what I thought was going to be 10 months has turned out to be 40 years later. And
So 86. I got here in 92, so you got me by about 6 years or so. It's the life then. Think about all the change you've seen, not just about the tournament, but just think about life on the island. You're a Seapines guy. Have you always been a Seapines guy? Is that where you always lived?
Actually, I have been. It's one of those things too. I'm blessed in many ways. The tournament's obviously here at Harbortown Golf Links. We wouldn't cover that, but our offices are in Seapines. Live in Seapines. Eat and drink in Seapines. Play golf in Seapines.
It's not. That's not blessed. That's spoiled.
Well,
you're spoiled. Everything's within. I'm guessing. I know this plantation really well. Maximum 1 mile of your home. Some of it half mile from your. You and I used to be neighbors, by the way. We were just neighbors about 6 doors across Plantation Drive from each other.
Exactly, but no, it's something about this community. Too. Yes, yes. My boss, my lovely wife, she'd say I'd never leave the resort here, but this community is incredible.
Yeah.
To be a part of something as special like the tournament, working with this community is pretty special. And I've seen a lot of changes. You hear that too, from one lane to in and out roads to different properties to hotels have changed, restaurants have come and gone a little bit too, but there's been some wonderful things.
Yeah, it's a special place, and I for years when we were just across Plantation Drive from you guys, I would be inspired by watching Deanie run. She'd be out there running. I'm not sure if she's running as much anymore, but I'd always see her doing that triangle loop all the way back around, and she always inspired me by being super active. And you mentioned golf, so are you? I know that golf is probably not a prerequisite for being involved in the tournament, right? Because it's still people business, right? But are you an avid golfer? Like you out there all the time? And
no,
okay.
I mean I really like it. Do I love it? Not necessarily. I was a football, baseball guy.
Yeah.
Played football in college, so I had came down here and played basketball until I was 60. But now my son, who's 30, who was married a couple years ago, recently just made me a grandfather. Yeah. He's an avid golfer, very good golfer. It forces me. There's no reason to say no, so I get out there as much as I can.
Yeah. So the elder statesman is now a grandfather officially. Yeah. You got that new title. Congratulations.
I'm Papa.
Okay, so, you're Papa. Yeah. Well, that's fantastic. So I was thinking about that on the golf side. Obviously the tournament is based in the Harbortown Golf Links. You know that course in every single facet better than anybody else. You know the back end, the front end, not to mention the actual hardscape and landscape of the course. Though, is that a fun course for you to play? With all that you know about it, does it kind of add an element to it, or does it feel like you're coming back to work?
No, it's a great question because with my game too, it takes me to all those little nooks and crannies and places like, shoot, maybe we should put something here. But we have something extremely special at the PGA Tour. And, we're one of the premier events on the tour now, being a signature event, but it's community, it's different.
Yeah.
A lot of tournaments have one way in, one way out, but here we have homes and villas and condos. We have a natural 19th hole in the Calbogey Sand in Harbortown, and we have something extremely special here. People know it. That's why the tour wants to be here. That's why the players want to be here. And CBS loves it.
Let's talk about so we talk about our heritage being here, not the tournament, but you're in my heritage a long time here. Now my girls grew up in the Montessori school, and so that meant that we had the booth at the sort of at the turn of the 10th fairway. It was the trailer that always got pulled over here. And we'd spend, as parents, every morning we were wrapping a slice of Giuseppe's pizza in there. We'd be wrapping up the barbecue sandwiches and kind of getting ready for that kind of experience. And man, my fingers didn't have enough meat on them. I couldn't do the deep dive for the beers and the ice cooler because it just killed me. But that's all kind of changed, hasn't it? Like that component now, I think Surge Group has taken over. Was last year the first year where you guys sort of had them run that, or has it been a couple
No,
years?
it's interesting you say that because we still are unique in the fact that we do have the front facing is our civic groups.
Okay, yeah.
But just what you said too, for me to be sitting there telling cannelloni mustard packs and how to flip a dog and a hamburger, we have professionals. We have and the Surge Group doing that, so that from inventory to, there's a lot of things. So the volunteer groups, it's been a win-win-win. When it first came in, there was conversation like, oh my gosh, but this is how the community is too. They're like, we'd rather work the concession booth and not make any money than not work and make money. But it's so much fun.
Well, it was a lot of fun. I'm thinking about sort of the simpler times of the tournament, right? Everything kind of gets more complicated as time goes on. But those were kind of the fun, simpler times where I think parents just sort of enjoyed that aspect. The other memory I sort of have thinking back in that time, and you'll remember this too, but there's that old adage, that you went to a fight and a hockey game broke out. And I always felt like the tournament was sort of like I went to a party and a golf tournament broke out. There was that earlier stage where it just seemed like everybody enjoyed locally that opportunity just to come together in this beautiful weather and just celebrate this being one of the biggest events in the state, and it just being in this backdrop, this beautiful backdrop of the low country. Does it still feel like that to you?
Yeah, absolutely. We, from years of experience and, each and every year, let alone we did something right 5 years ago, let alone last year might have been right, but should we do things differently? And I think back when the number one, I point like everybody knows, the Harbtown's right there.
Yeah.
The number one television t-shirt was invited these golfers to our party.
Right.
But, we went down a path a few years ago. It was adult spring break, the big celebration. That's not, we're family, we're community. We changed, so we'll go back and look back at our strategy, because that's what we want.
Yeah.
The families come down, whether around the world, when the players, they come down, they relax, and they have golfing cruises, and they rent homes on the ocean, they play golf elsewhere, they have wonderful restaurants, so much.
Seems like that's what locals here. I kind of treat myself as just sort of an unknowing local from that perspective. As you hear the players love coming here, and I realize it's sort of after the Masters kind of relax, calm down, let the nerves settle down kind of environment. But it is a family-based kind of environment here. Is that real? Like, is that the players really enjoy the tournament from that perspective?
Oh, not just the players. I can talk about our sponsors and our patrons, but all that couldn't happen without the volunteers we
sure.
have. But a lot of tournaments in the PGA Tour in the country too. It's a challenge, or it's leading up to a major, following a major, or the week after the premier event. All golf, if not all the sports.
Yeah.
We've embraced that.
Yeah.
But that's how the CBS embraced it. People, we recently were contacted about how much we pay Jim Nance, and we don't. It's just that if you think about CBS leading up to our tournament, they're filming March Madness, all those games, and then 56 minutes of every hour of Augusta, and then they come down here, and it's kind of. But that's how the players are, and the players' families, and our sponsors come down and really have embraced this community.
And if I recall this correctly, maybe bring me up to speed on it, but they were, I think, over at the prep school at Montessori, because those weeks were off during the tournament. That sort of became spring break alignment with that. That those facilities were used for daycare and for the place for the kids to be kind of engaged, because they didn't want to necessarily be out here on the court. Is that still the case?
We still, that's the interesting thing, that the tournament kind of dictates the spring break schedule, which doesn't happen. PGA.
Right.
The PGA Tour is extremely envious of the relationship we have with this community, the state, and getting things done.
Nice.
Oh, there's no doubt we're the best practice with a lot of things, but we use all these facilities, from Honeycomb to the high school, to USCB this week, to distribution. So we use a lot of these facilities and enhance the experience for whether it is our volunteers or our daycare for the children and all too. It's just definitely the best in class as well.
I'm sure it is. It just seemed like that was really the community embracing this tournament holistically and making sure that the players wanted to keep coming back, And so I think about now we moved to this elevated component. The field has dropped in size on purpose, right? And so what's that look like? Like, how does that change the dynamic from the player's perspective, not the tournament perspective, but do the players like it more or less than that? Does it change kind of the feel of that component?
Well, that's several questions in one.
Yeah.
I'm long-winded at
just
times,
speak to
but, you know, a couple things. I think back in my first tournament in '87, the purse was $650,000, and now we're at $20 million.
Okay.
So these guys, and we were at, prior to being a designated event, prior to being a signature event, we were an invitation, full invitation to the PGA Tour with a limited field of 132 players. Might not seem like it's a lot less than others, but then in 23, we had to go to 150 players, which you're adding 18 players, but that's 18 families.
Yep.
18 players,
on the course.
18 more courtesy cars, but then you get into caddies and I can go on and on and on. We had to add locker rooms to the locker room. And then now being a signature event, these players have to play. Now, last year we have to have 69 players.
Okay.
We'll be at 72 this year.
Good.
That's half of what we had a few years ago.
Including Scotty? Scotty
Yes.
comes back? Okay, Scotty.
Yeah, he'll be here, which he's been wonderful to work with. We ask, and not that we usually have it, but most of the time it does, we invite our past chief back for sponsor media day.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
He was quick to say, love to, but I won 9 times last year. So I don't know how I can figure it in with all these other tournaments.
Yeah,
So
of course.
He's done some social media for you, which you'll see a lot here. He has sent some messages to our sponsors. In fact, we just had some sponsor day recently.
Well, let's go back to like the individual players. So Scotty, everybody understands Scotty, what he's up to, exciting. I'm glad he's coming back to defend. But what about you? Are you able to form relationships? Do you have friendships with a lot of these golfers, or a handful of these golfers? Are there any favorites that that just cut through the years, and a couple that you really enjoy, just a nice relationship with?
Yes, and I do really get a chance to spend time. And actually, when we used to run the Players Amateur, really got to spend a lot of time with these guys before they become who they are now.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
I knew
nice.
them
Yeah.
before they came. And when we did the Players Amateur, if you won that event, you received an exemption in the tournament. That was like the Ricky Fowler, Bill Haas. So these people, but without question, no hesitation, I can go on all out. Davis Love.
Oh, really?
His first win on the PGA Tour was my first tournament in '87.
Okay.
His birthday is April 13th, which is my dad's 13th.
All right.
I had the pleasure of being the many of his surprise birthday parties down here over the years. And we've seen our families grow up here. I joke around with him. He's 5-time winner here. He's in the Hall of Fame, Ryder Cup captain, President Cup captain, and I'm still working out of a double-wide trailer over here. And he's like, I don't know if that's a bad thing. I'm like, I'm not sure that's a good thing, but but it's good. He is genuine. He's going to be doing the restoration of the Scotch portion in May.
Yeah, let's talk about that really quickly. So what's in store after the tournament? Is it immediately after the tournament? And you got to unbuild all the stands and all that kind of stuff, clear everything away. And then when's the golf course sort of going down for renovation?
Actually, May 5th. We're going to go a couple weeks out of how busy it is, and obviously we're in conditions as well. And it's not just it's an investment in the expense from the Harbor-Zuni. It's also lost revenue from the resort. So
of course.
They are going a couple weeks. Most of the majority of the work is inside the roads. Most of the stuff that we have you see out here now is outside the road. It comes down to the fencing.
Okay.
But it is truly a restoration with that in mind. It's not a renovation.
Major changes.
Right now.
Okay.
You really are not looking for one. They're taking it to. They're going to make sure the shot value is what Pete Dye wanted to be.
Okay.
And Davis Love is being all in about, hey, you don't mess with the masterpiece. So Davis is going to be very, very, very much being involved. But he wants to make sure that it's what it's been and why we're here today.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Look forward to that. And how long will that take?
I've been 7 months.
Okay.
First November, mid-November, and there's really not we never know what happens here in the summertime
or in the fall.
So we're kind of, but their focus is obviously in April next year.
All right, talk to me through like a typical tournament for you. You talked about being in the double wide while Davis is out playing. What do you actually what's a typical day during the tournament? Do you get time on the course? Are you behind the scenes running logistics? Do you ever get a break? Like what does that look like?
Well, it's interesting you say that too. Again, I'm fortunate, blessed with time. It's always incredible.
Yeah.
The best of what they do in the country there are tremendous. But you know, the focus early in the part is really about when you come Thursday.
Pretty much in motion.
It's in motion from the standpoint of what I try to do at that point. I've already done the player tour things, and it's more of the sponsor relations.
Yeah.
It's working on that. But the unfortunate thing, I've said this before. People think I'm crazy. Is I'd love to see the tournament be 2 weeks. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Because we really don't get to enjoy. Don't take this wrong, but by Thursday, we're already coordinating things with B&W to pick the cars up, the bleachers, the generators are returned. You know, when are the concessions being pulled out? All these things are being worked upon. It just doesn't go Monday, okay, let's start planning.
Right.
So, you know, we're already planning on the back end, let alone we're planning on 26 and beyond.
But you got to get out now. You got to get out to see some of the tournament.
I don't. If you came up to me and goes, "Who's leading?" I might go.
You might
I have no idea. But do I get out there? I try to maybe on a Thursday start on 15 and work my way to 18, and then Friday I'll start on 18 and go backwards, and then just to see. And of course, you know, not everybody will be in their hospitality area that I might like to see, but you know, an incredible team effort again.
It'd be hard for you to make good progress unless you're incognito in disguise, right? Because pretty much every moment, every step, there's gonna be somebody stopping you and talking about the tournament, how are things going, how have you been?
And most people
you're a pretty recognizable guy.
Well, most people don't know me.
Locals.
They know who.
Locals know.
Well, no, it's funny. One of
Locals
those
know who you
things.
are.
I go that. Yes, but it's a part of the job, part of the business.
Yeah, of course.
And everybody you think about from this community, whether you're buying a ticket or hotels or rental properties or restaurants or caterers, we're working. Our volunteers, we have 2,000 of the most incredible. This community is so good.
Oh yeah.
You know, so giving. And I remember a few years back, you supported us at our charities from letting us use your truck,
Yeah.
your 25-footer, which helped us in some of the
Oh,
operations.
thanks. Yeah, well, we were, I was thinking back about the year without the sponsor. Now, what year was that?
That was 2000 what?
2011. And I thought that was one of the coolest things. Maybe a lot of folks don't know about that at a time when you basically needed to compel the community, a lot of the business community and probably individual donors, etc., to amass a certain amount of money to guarantee that the tournament could move forward. And that was we participated humbly in that the way that we could, and I know a bunch of people did too. I thought that was kind of one of the coolest years for the tournament.
Absolutely. You know, it was one of those. It's kind of the rallying cry too. You know, what happens if this tournament does go away?
Yeah.
We recently did. Every 5 years we do an economic impact study. This past year we did close to $135 million plus for the week of the event. But what happened back then is that the town stepped up and gave us $1 million grant. The county gave us $1 million loan. And fortunately, the foundation, the leadership of Joe Frazier and Angus
Of course.
and John Curry, we were in a position to have reserves to be able to get us through 11, not knowing what was going to work.
Right.
Unfortunately, things happened with RBC and Boeing, and you're still here with us today, and it's been a great run, and we're hoping it's
Well, we're the noise you're hearing in the background. We're live in the build, so they're actively building right here behind the 9th green. They're actively building the stage.
Yeah, we have two different companies that build bleachers and tents for us.
Okay.
We have Sports America in Columbus, Ohio, and Schaefer out of Texas. And you're kind of splitting up the build right now. But, started about a month ago. Build is going. The weather's been good. We're not on wood.
It's the biggest build you've probably had, right? I mean, you can point you've got the most stands or bleachers that you've ever had.
Well, one of the things we've done, and it's yes, we're limited to what we can do. I mean, it's not like we can all of a sudden create space.
Of course, yeah.
But one thing is, a few years ago, we went down, kind of we're sitting there going, what do you see here? We see nothing. We kind of put it up. So we have elevated. We have some double deckers down there. We're building a pretty big one now on 17 green 8
Okay.
It's a double deck house and quite impressive. But we're sensitive to, by building doesn't mean we're trying to put more people out.
Yeah.
We're just trying to enhance the
Experience, yeah, absolutely.
What we've done too is we have bleachers on 17 and 18 floors out there. That's for the general spectators too. This isn't,
Yeah.
yes, we couldn't do it without the sponsor, but we couldn't do it without the support.
Well, and a lot of folks may have experienced these. We through the years have done it where we've got a hospitality house or property either on the golf course or nearby. In this case, last 5 years or so we've been over on the harbor, and so there's that aspect of there's sort of more of that party aspect that I think people really enjoy, right? Kind of make the most of that. Like you're talking about the experience. I mean, it's fun to camp out and be in that that double decker. Skybox that's overlooking the green, and the views are amazing. It's protected, not the sun, all that kind of stuff. But it's also fun to kind of go around if you got an opportunity to kind of visit some of the hospitality houses. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and that's something that we already unique with is the fact that a lot of places one way in, one way out. There's no home access. There's no natural hospitality or so too. And the bottom line is we just want people to just buy tickets.
Yeah.
That is a challenge sometimes. Maybe with someone having a huge party in the house, it's kind of working against us a little bit, but we realize that we're unique in that. So how do we work together to make sure we keep this thing going for the sake of the community?
So people can buy tickets. Obviously, tickets are still available for sale.
Yeah. Yes. We did just announce today all the tickets for Saturday. So
Okay, so Saturday's sold out.
And there's secondary market. Sort of don't know how that works now. And that's,
Sure.
You talked about yesteryear and what we did recently. This is the fourth year of electronic tickets.
Yes.
And all, and you can crawl before you walk before you run.
Is that a good thing? Is the
But
electronic ticket? That's been a good step.
Absolutely.
Okay.
It really has been. And going to whether you're going to a concert or even restaurants and things, you're getting airplanes and tickets, and it was good. It helps us operationally too.
Of course.
We can plan accordingly to how many people are coming each day. Because when we used to sell weekly badges, we didn't know if you 7 days or 2 days.
Correct. Right.
So this
Now
way
you've got
help
data.
that we're able to plan. And for that
So smart. Yeah, so smart.
So make sure we have enough concessions, restaurant, parking, and security. We want it to be a good experience.
I think about the old days, where parking would be all the way down Plantation Drive in front of my house, next to your house, that sort of thing. That's all changed in recent history, and that seems to go smoothly, right?
Yeah, and that's one of those things that I'm not very smart. It took Mother Nature to wash out all
Yeah,
that.
right.
Going, let's
I
go
remember.
anywhere. And now it works all the way around for the residents here, those that need to have access in and out, those that may not even support the tournament that live here to get in and out. But it also helps from getting cars off the road and getting on buses and coming in. So that has been one of those things, like, why don't we do it here?
If you got a history of driving, trying to get down Plantation Drive, you had a hang tag to get back in. The background history was that was just an impossible kind of situation, and now it's eerily quiet. It's like, where's all the cars? Where's all the
If
cars?
you think about it, I mean, we parked 1,000+ cars at
Staples.
So it was space, which were limited, but it was also aesthetically wasn't the best of series, let alone if it
Tough
rained
on
and some
state.
other things. So, but through that, we were able to secure, Mother Nature hit that year. We worked with actually St. Teaching, and they secured all those power lines for us and moved forward.
Yeah, that's awesome. So let's talk about for non-golfers, all due respect, people that aren't buying tickets, aren't in town, can't see the tournament, they're going to listen to Jim Nance's beautiful voice announce it on TV and all that kind of stuff. Anybody wants to sponsor or support the Heritage Classic Foundation, there's a couple cool ways they can do that. Can you still buy that 2-year license plate? It's kind of got the cool logo on it for, was that $75 or
Yeah,
something?
it's $75 every 2 years. The first year we received 66 of the 75, and the second year we received 71 of them.
Okay.
And that goes right to our scholarship
Right.
fund. So that's the easiest way to truly support us.
But that's for local vehicles registered in South Carolina.
South
too.
Carolina.
Now, what about birdies for charity? Is that the right phrase on that?
Right.
Is that, when's the close? Is there? So basically, how does that work? So you're basically committing to a certain dollar amount for every birdie that the pros make during the tournament 4 days. Is that how that goes?
Yes, and then basically that program runs from now through the tournament.
Okay.
It could be a penny a birdie, it could be $1 a birdie, or it could be an amount.
It's like 1,200 birdies last year, maybe?
Yes, but our field, when we had 150, some people got scared, and when we were at 70, we got work the other way. So, but that's one of the easy way to support and help here. And then we do have our matching program
Right.
too, and we have 100 plus charities that we support. But
So that's just if someone just wants to make a contribution, you guys match up to 20% or something?
20%.
Yeah.
And that program actually runs through December 1, January 1 to December 1.
Because I know the tournament that's kind of the cool stuff, right? Everybody kind of wants to be around that. You bump up against some famous people in sports and that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, the impact is what the Heritage Classic Foundation is driving. The impact to the local, I would say, county and state kind of communities is really, at the end of the day, that's what this is all about.
Yes, I've proven that economic impact before, but really why we do what we do is to give back. I think that last year, just south of $4 million, 393 or so in charitable support, 56 plus since '87.
Big numbers.
And those things, we help them. We're proud of their scholarship program too. There's so many organizations, let alone children and scholars, but so many civic groups too. You wish you could support even more so.
Of course.
And there's so many great causes, so many worthy causes out there. But that's why we're challenged too.
Well, it's so in keeping with, I think, is the temperament, outlook, and behavior of the low country community. It's just a very giving kind of environment and culture, and you guys certainly lead the charge.
Well, when we sit here, you talk about 2,000 plus volunteers, and if we had to pay them $1 an hour for the time we give nothing to charity, so you have those. But the other thing that I'm honored and proud to be a part of is 99.9% of the time, if I make a call saying something, they're going, yes is the answer.
Yeah. Well, of course.
The town, the relationship with them, because when we look at our driveway starts in Bluffton, and then you get to, so hopefully the experience driving through Bluffton, getting to 270, and hopefully the traffic, and then coming through the front gates, which is kind of like the driveway, and checking in the villas, and you're going shopping. There's so many things that need to happen before they even get to the tournament.
Correct.
So all those things outside, we need that. To work with Bluffton, and we need to work with the town because we want to make sure we're showcasing.
We talk about big money just really quick. The harbor fills up with these huge yachts that come in. The airport fills up with these PJs, right? The private jets and that sort of stuff. It's pretty impressive when you look at it. Like, it really kind of highlights this area and shows that there's some big rollers that are coming in here to take advantage of and enjoy this or play in it.
And well, I'll never forget back in 2011, it was that June 11 when we signed the RBC presented by Boeing arrangement.
Yeah.
And sneeze here, excuse me.
That's okay. Go for it.
Oh,
it definitely is.
Caught it there. But I'll never forget sitting in one of our first operations meetings with Boeing, and we got talking about the airport / airports. And we got talking about the line for the runway of the Hilton Head. We got talking about some trees, and this is back in 11, 12, so a lot has been addressed. Well, they looked over at me and said, "Well, most of our guests have 737s. It's a private." We're like, they're not landing on Hilton Head. So that's why we have an incredible relationship as well, not just locally, but with surrounding Hilton Head Airport, because it becomes from the private terminals to some of the bigger private planes.
Of course.
Both of these places are coming in from Augusta and all too, so they're both great partners.
Well, so let's talk about the biggest distraction to the tournament is up in the sky with the big Boeing. Is it 777 that flies by, or is it a Dreamliner, or maybe it varies?
The Dreamliner. It varies for the sake of what's at the end of the what's being built. That's kind of how it works. But there's a great story with that if you have time. So when RBC's here because of Boeing's here because of RBC. So my original agreement with them is there was no flying. But Boeing came to us, human beings, said, hey, Steve, you ask, you want to do the right thing. We'd love to have you fly over, but we know that RBC has all the television.
Right.
So that's why you don't see RBC. You don't see Boeing ever on the broadcast,
Okay.
commercials or anything. So we went to RBC, and RBC said, sure, that'd be awesome. They're great partners. So they flew, if you remember, noon, 12 o'clock every Friday for the first 10 years.
Yeah.
But when we renegotiated their contract, it got into between CBS and things, they wanted to fly prime time. So it's at 4 o'clock every Saturday on CBS.
Okay.
And that is their, RBC let them, it's a great partnership and all too, but there is something about how the TV and the broadcast are presented by Boeing compared to RBC Heritage without.
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
So, the flyover has been extremely well received.
There's a couple of things that you can count on. That now the flyover, 4 o'clock on Saturdays.
Yeah.
The other is our mutual friend John Batson. For years has been out there in the Calabogie Sound. I don't care what the conditions are. He's out there and he's on some kind of sail.
Yep.
Trying to make his way around and making sure that he gets on
And that
some
goes back
coverage
to
there
that.
too.
He's been out there since before RBC too. So he's been doing it for quite a while. We've had our previous sponsors, sales and some other.
Well, I'll ask you one last question about your favorite tradition around that week. I'm gonna make a confession. One of my favorite traditions, and I've done it for a long, long time. The first handful of years was with my buddy Matt Webster, and then the more recent years been with my buddy Matt Clark. But at least one day during the tournament, before those fellas get down to the second tee, we run in that early morning, especially on the early phase of it. We run down there and ask for forgiveness from your volunteers, and we sneak down and we run the whole. I'm the guy. No, we're the two guys,
Okay.
and we run down. And Matt Clark too, with Matt Clark, and we run down, and it's just a great. It's really a magical place to run. It's not a long run. It's just kind of cool just to kind of see the pristine conditions right there in the moment, right before the players are coming down, or obviously on the outside of the lines and the fence line, but. That's one of my favorite traditions, and hopefully you don't mind that one. Tell me what's yours. Just give me one thing, whether it's the tournament itself or the end of the tournament where you just have a moment to relax. What's your kind of favorite tradition?
It's interesting you say what you did say, because there is something about when the sun comes up here.
It's incredible.
And to see, I can sit out here now and I can see the tent company, bleach company, the landscapers, our electrician, the hard gray, Pullman Electric, all these people working together. There's so much that happens, and then all of a sudden everybody starts showing up, and that's an exciting part. Being out on 18, how often are you on 18 when the sun's coming up, not going down? So,
it's fun.
There's so many things than anything. It's been relationships, friendships, partnerships that have been created and continue to. And, we're in it together. It's not about me or the foundation. It's about we in this community.
Yeah, well, I get that. You're a no I in team kind of guy, but you have an impact and you're inspiring other people, and there's a ton of other eyes that we can go after. But I for one, I'm grateful to be one of your buds here for long standing. And I'm excited about the tournament just continuing to be so successful. And I know everybody that gets a chance to see it on TV or be here in person appreciates what you and your team and all the volunteers and everybody that pulls it together does to make it a successful event each year. And I appreciate you being with us, buddy.
Thank you.
It's really been fun.
You're continuing
Spend time with you.
to not just us, but this community.
Yeah,
as well.
that's what we do. All right, buddy. Good being with you.
Yeah.